Hello, Robert Bell here, General Manager at Brooks Equipment Company. And we're here today to have a conversation with Mike Ventola. Mike, I understand you're the Southeast Region Business Development Manager for Space Age Electronics. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about Space Age, if you would.
Hey, thanks, Robert. Glad to be here talking with Brooks Equipment. Yeah, so I've been with Space Age for 7 years. Prior to that, I was 22 years in the industry with a large manufacturer based in Sarasota, Florida. But, over my career, look, I started in the field as a technician, worked my way up into engineering, design, system layout, and then management, ultimately. My background's always been technical, so kind of melding the two between business development for business owners and helping grow their business with also understanding the technicalities of our industry and code compliance in our industry really helps build a good relationship, because there's a lot of value I could bring to our customers, especially at Space Age.
Thanks, Mike. You've got a rich history, I can tell. What is something about life safety systems that the public or end user may not have realized when things started getting shut down, which seems like years ago, but actually was what, 7-8 weeks, right?
Yeah. I tell you, one of the things that kind of struck me, and I know this because just being in the industry, look at life safety systems, your fire alarm, your sprinkler systems, they're your silent guardian. Like, they never went home. They've always been on the job, working 24/7, protecting facilities and buildings and people in those buildings, should they still be there. And they're fully supervised, they're fully monitored, right? So off-site monitoring companies, they didn't go offline. So, these building owners that may feel like, oh man, no one's at my facility, at my restaurant, watching the food spoil, because that'll go bad in a couple of weeks, right? But not the life safety systems. That's always there protecting.
Excellent, Mike. An important part of the fire and life safety industry are all the inspectors, the code officials, the fire marshals, and other municipal staff. What have you observed over the last 8 weeks with municipalities that you'd like to share?
The government side of the shutdown got hit in certain areas, such as code officials that are doing plans inspections, permitting, and site inspections, right? Because they went home. They weren't able to work at the facilities that had all the necessary resources, the plan sets, the information technology systems they had set up. So there's going to be a bit of a bottleneck, right? The plan reviews are getting extended because they don't have the people at the offices doing these reviews. I had a customer just tell me this week that he had sent in a plan set and permit documentation to a municipality in South Florida, and it sat for 3 weeks at the FedEx office because they couldn't deliver it. And these code officials are going to be challenged with trying to catch up with that backlog that's now been created.
That makes sense, Mike. And speaking specifically of working with AHJs, what advice do you have for service providers out there to help them coordinate this work with the AHJ?
Look at the service provider, right? The FEDs at Brooks, the partners at Space Age. You have to be proactive, right? So you have to kind of get ahead of this. There's going to be a bit of a challenge to try to bridge the gap between your timeline that you're trying to work to and what the AHJ is able to deliver on. Right. So, maybe using technology, and there was a company that's out in California, actually, I believe it was, that's using a series of cameras and video recording the smoke control test, which was a pretty creative way to do that. But it's also a great way to keep verified records that you conducted the test and the test actually proceeded as it was required to proceed, and then offering that to the AHJ. They could review this at certain points. They don't have to witness the entire test. They could see the intervals of the test taking place. So technology, implementing that in your organization can be a benefit and help the AHJ do their job. Now, one other thing I didn't mention earlier, This is also a good time for the service provider to maybe think ahead of what may be missing on older systems that newer systems have, such as the proper documentation and the on-site storage of that documentation. Signage is important, right? So having a certificate of compliance at the fire control panel, along with emergency responder numbers, right? So if these things are lacking at the control center, so to speak, that might be a good opportunity to go in and offer those as a compliance standard, because they're not compliant to today's code. Wasn't required 10 years ago, but it is required today. So another opportunity to kind of get ahead of this, make sure people have what they need on their sites, make sure the AHJs are happy with that too, because they like to see that documentation there too, and that just makes their job easier when they go in to do an inspection and verify that everything is up to code and working properly.
Okay, Mike, I've really enjoyed our discussion today. Do you have any parting words for the audience that you might want to share with us?
Yeah, and I too, Robert, love sharing this dialogue, some insight, parting words. This is just a little blip, that's all. We'll come through it, stick at it, and just keep doing your professional work the best way you know how.
I agree with you, Mike. Really want to say thank you and thanks for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome, and it was my pleasure. Thank you.
So I'll sign off with that. You can find this resource and other valuable resources on our COVID-19 landing page at www.brooksequipment.com/COVID-19/. And, we put together these resources to help you, the FED, defend and preserve your business during this pandemic. Again, we're excited about the future at Space Age and Brooks Equipment. We're excited about our partnership together, and let's stay connected, and together we will win. We'll see you guys on the flip side.